Most options content assumes that you need 25 to 50K before you can start running the wheel strategy. And if you don't have that, if you're working, let's say with 2,500 or 5,000, the message you get is come back when you have some more money, which is both unhelpful and in my opinion also wrong, right? The wheel strategy can scale down, not every position, not every ticker, but the core mechanics work at small account sizes if you know which constraints are real and ones you can engineer around, right? And today I want to walk you through exactly how I'd approach building a $2,500 wheel strategy portfolio, what it can do, what it can't do, and what the realistic growth plan actually looks like. So here's the structural reality of running the wheel strategy on a small account that we got to get out of the way. A standard options contract obviously controls 100 shares. We know that when you sell a cash secured put, your broker holds enough cash to cover the purchase of those 100 shares at that strike price. That collateral requirement is what determines whether a position is even accessible to you or not. On a $50 stock, with a $47 strike, you need $4,700 in collateral, which is already more than your entire $2,500 account. On a $22 stock with a $20 strike, you need $2,000. That's accessible. On a $10 stock with, let's say, a $9 strike, you need $900. That's accessible with some room to spare. So the first constraint is purely mathematical. With $2,500 in your wheel account, your universe of put candidates is limited to stocks trading below roughly $25 per share. That constraint is real. It's not as limiting as it sounds because plenty of quality optional businesses trade in that range, and some of the most interesting wheel strategy setups in this market are currently sitting there. The second constraint is diversification. With 2,500, you can realistically run one position at a time without over concentrating, or maybe two positions if you find a lower price setup that allows for it. That limited diversification means each stock selection decision carries more weight than it would in a larger account, right? There's no getting around that. You gotta be choosing carefully, not broadly. So here's the framework I'd apply to a $2,500 wheel strategy account. And it's not different from honestly how I think about a larger account as well, right? At this account size, capital preservation is not just a philosophy. It is an absolute requirement. A $5,000 loss in a $50,000 account is uncomfortable. A $5,000 loss in a $2,500 account, that's the whole account, okay? Which means the discipline around stock selection, only running the wheel on businesses that you've actually analyzed and would actually genuinely want to hold is even more critical than at larger sizes, right? The growth objective also needs to be honest, right? The wheel at 2,500 is not going to replace an income stream or fund a retirement in the near term. What it can do is compound systematically over time, building an account from 5,000 at 10,000 at 25,000 while teaching you the execution habits that are going to carry you through every account size, right? The $2,500 account is a learning vehicle, a compounding engine, not a primary income source, okay? Those are completely different things. And conflating them leads to taking risks that are appropriate for larger accounts, but inappropriate in a smaller account like this. The third element of my framework at this size, liquidity matters more than premium here, okay? It's tempting to go and sell puts on thinly traded stocks because the premium looks really attractive, right? Thin options markets have wide bid-ask spreads. They eat into your actual return. A put that appears to offer 90 cents in premium might only offer you net 55 cents after the spread costs. At a small account size, that friction is very meaningful percentage of your entire return. So here's what to look for in a $2,500 wheel strategy candidate. And I want to walk you through my specific criteria that I apply when screening for positions with this small account size. Obviously, share price, ideally I want between 8 and 22, low enough that the collateral requirement leaves me with some sort of reserves and capital, and high enough that the position represents a real business with a liquid options chain, right? So with options liquidity, look for open interest above 500 contracts if you can on the strike that you're considering, and a bid-ask spread under 15 cents. Wider than that, you're giving away too much in transaction friction, especially when you're trading like literally a single contract. Next is business quality. This is the filter that really matters most and gets skipped most often when people are excited about a trade. You need to answer one question before selling any put. If I own this stock at this price for 12 months, is that an outcome that I can actually manage? If the stock has has no earnings, it has declining revenue, or a balance sheet that doesn't support its current price, the answer should be no, regardless of the amount of premium that you're collecting, okay? Let's talk about the premium target. At 2,500, you're typically looking at one contract at a time. A single put contract generating 50 to 150 bucks in net premium after spreads is a reasonable range for a lower price stock. That's not a life-changing number in isolation, of course not, but compounded consistently over 12 months through multiple market cycles, it builds your account. So let's talk about some examples of the price range that I think is worth watching. I want to walk you through the logic of a few price tiers rather than specific stock recommendations because, listen guys, the market changes and any specific name I give you right now may not have the same setup by the time you're watching this video, okay? So stocks in the $8 to $12 range require $800 to $1,200 in collateral per contract. That allows you to run 2 positions simultaneously with 2,500 bucks, which provides, again, some nicer, more diversification than a single position account. The trade-off is that liquidity can be really thin at this price level and the options change are sometimes sparse, okay? So verify open interest before entering, okay? Stocks in the $15 to $22 range require $1,500 to $2,200 in collateral. So you're likely running one position at a time, which means every selection carries the full weight of the account. The options chain at this tier tend to be more liquid, spreads are tighter, and the underlying businesses are generally, typically more established. So for a beginner building the skill set, this is probably the cleaner starting range. Now, let's talk about the covered call phase that you'll probably get yourself into, right? Because assignment is not a failure in a small account, even though a lot of people think so. It's an opportunity to run phase 2. When you own 100 shares of a stock at 15 bucks assigned at your put strike, you can immediately begin selling covered calls on that specific position. At this account size, right, the covered call phase has one specific discipline worth emphasizing. Don't sell calls too close to your cost bases that you'd be willing to get called away on at a loss. Every covered call you sell in a small account should either be at the strike above your cost basis or generating enough premium that you're clearly reducing it towards at least a break even. Selling calls at a discount to your cost basis to collect literally a few extra bucks in premium is a way to turn a recoverable assignment into a locked in loss. The patience required here, it's so real. If you're assigned at 15 and the stock immediately moves, let's say to 13 bucks, you're selling calls at 13.50, 13 or 14 to generate premium while you wait. That process takes time, potentially several months of consistent covered call selling before you're even back to break even. Understanding that timeline before you enter the position prevents those panic decisions mid-cycle. So look, a $2,500 account, it has some real constraints. The universe of positions is limited to lower price stocks. Diversification across multiple positions obviously is limited. Individual decisions carry way more consequences per dollar than in a larger account. None of that makes the strategy impossible though. It makes discipline even more important. The thing that makes a small wheel account work over time is not finding the perfect setup. It's executing consistently through imperfect setups with appropriate risk management, keeping losses small when they occur and compounding the wins. The account that grows from 2,500 to 5 grand to 10 grand does so because it avoided the positions that would have cut in half, not because it found extraordinary premiums either. There's also a learning dimension that's worth talking about. The habits you build running that $2,500 account, the selection discipline, the position sizing logic, the covered call management on your assigned shares are the same habits that you'll use when your account is 10 times, 100 times larger. The cost of learning those habits on 2,500 bucks is much lower than learning them on a $25,000 account. The traders who struggle with those small accounts are typically the ones trying to use them to generate income they can't afford to wait for, which pushes them into higher risk positions or ETFs, wider bid spreads, lower quality businesses. The traders who succeed, they're the ones who treat the small accounts as a compounding vehicle and let the process work over time for them. So if I were starting fresh with a $2,500 account today, I wouldn't be trying to generate income that I could spend, okay? I'd be trying to run the cleanest, most disciplined version of the wheel that I could possibly manage. Focus on capital preservation first and premium collection second. Every dollar kept in my account by avoiding bad positions is worth more than any premium that I could collect from any aggressive setup. I'd also keep a very detailed trade log from day one, not because it's administrative, because reviewing that log every month reveals patterns in your own decision making that you can't see in the moment. The positions where you felt most confident are often the ones that cost you the most money. The positions that felt the most boring and uneventful are often the ones that compound for you quietly. And if you want my full trade log template, just attend the Ark Options Strategy workshop. It'll be the first link in the description of today's video. In my opinion, small accounts, they teach humility in a way that large accounts don't, because the margin for error, it's thinner. That's actually the best possible environment to build a process that you trust long-term. So 2 questions for you guys in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going. Number 1, are you currently running the wheel strategy on a smaller account? And what's been the most challenging part of managing the position constraints that you're up against? And number 2, what was your starting account size when you first ran the wheel? And what do you wish someone had told you about the realistic pace of the growth? Drop those comments down below. Let's have a great conversation. If you want to take your education further, attend the 90-minute Ark Options Strategy workshop. It'll be the first link in the description of today's video. And at the end, you get my trade lock template and my 2 premium calculators. Remember guys, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.